did a couple minutes ago. Sorry about that. We're going to do round two. My wife woke her up somehow along the way. I know it's late. It's like almost 1 o'clock in the morning up here, out here in California. And some of you guys, probably later for you, I don't know how or why you're tuning in this late. I guess you're like me where sometimes you just can't sleep and you're a night owl. But yeah, I'm also on this momentum craze that I'm getting with... I call it momentum craze. My 11 to 25 views that I'm getting on videos, and it's exciting for me as a small YouTube creator. So, what's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the differences between Hollywood productions and, you guessed it, Vancouver. So, I've had a couple comments from different parts of the world, people seeing the videos that I've been posting, and so we're essentially going to be talking about that and checking out some of the comments and kind of discussing what people have been saying around the world about film production. So there are some key differences between shooting in Los Angeles and shooting in other parts of the world, and there are some strong similarities. So that's going to be what this video is about. Maybe it's interesting. Hopefully it's interesting to you. One of the other things I pointed out earlier in the video is I'm using some new gear. So for my camera, I went ahead and got my GoPro. There was kind of a little trick that I learned with the GoPro Hero 7 Black. You have to press record, then plug in the HDMI cable, then press record again if you don't want it to record internally for it to output. And so I'm using some encoding. They're web presenters that I use for corporate events, and so I'm using those to connect to my computer. And so I also have this H5, which is what I used for the last video, which makes the audio sound awesome. It has a built-in compressor, which I think sounds really good, and so it keeps the levels consistent through a live stream, which is very important. So yes, the H5 is going to a little mini mixer, and that's feeding into the web presenter, which is also going into Wirecast, as you can see in front of me with the meters and stuff going. So so now that you can see my screen and you can see Wirecast, let's jump over to let's see, live dashboard, just to make sure we're live. See, this part of stuff I don't understand so well. I guess excellent connection means we're good. So maybe eventually I'll figure this out. So this is a video I posted yesterday, and for me, 28 views is good in the first, couple days. So we're going to be talking about these comments here. Steven is out in Charleston shooting with HBO. So Charleston, South Carolina. Are you close to becoming an AD? How many days do I have? So I have a little over... something cut out. I bet you can hear me, but you can't see me. Let me get this back up. So here's my screen. Let me figure out the GoPro while we're live on this broadcast here. So I have it close to like 300 days or something. So let me write this out. A little over. I would say like 350. So I have about 300 days of production. Sorry, I'm resetting the GoPro as we're going here. So what I realized is my days are split between working as an AD in the independent world and also working on the big stuff, right? And so there I am. Hey, I'm back. Okay. So that's a good thing and a bad thing. I guess it's good because I have a diverse portfolio, but it's actually obviously a bad thing too, because for the days that you need 600 days as a PA or 400 days as an AD to get into the union. So I probably have about 180 AD days, non-union, either commercial work or feature films. And so what you do with all those days and all those call sheets, whether it's PA days or AD days, is you put them in a binder, right? This is called your book. And mine has some, these are the more recent call sheets of mine. And you hole punch them and try to make them as neat as possible. Obviously, I'm making a mess of myself right now because I've gotten lazy, and the most recent call sheets I've just kind of stuck in here. As I pulled the binder out, there was a bunch of other call sheets that fell out too that I need a whole bunch and get back to. But essentially, this is my kind of portfolio, so to speak, of all the different shows that I've worked on. And this is, I think, one of 3 binders that I have full of call sheets. And so with the call sheet, you can find your name. I know you probably can't see that, but Noah Sargent. Maybe I can pull this forward. I don't want to screw everything up, but I'm in there. No, you probably can't read it. It's okay. I'm not going to worry about that. But essentially, my name's on the back of all these call sheets somewhere. And you collect, call sheets to get into the DGA, which is the union for Directors Guild of America, but it's also the assistant directors who are in that union. And so that is a little bit away, ways away from me. So I want to quickly respond to that comment, as you can see here. So 300 days or so on the big productions. Yeah, on the big productions that actually count. I have... Sorry, I'm not talking. It's hard to talk and type. Yeah, so essentially, you need 600 call sheets to get into the union, and so I have something like 300 or so days that actually will count. The issue is, because I have AD days and these other 100 days or so that don't actually count for anything, it kind of sucks because, they typically want stuff that's big budget, that's a union, to count towards those days. You get 600 days, then you go to third area. And so it's this whole big process. And so that's what he's referring to when Stephen's asking about that. So I've still got a ways to go as far as that status goes. So, let's get into the meat of the comments here. This is the one I've been having fun with Braid. So check this out. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys the courtesy to explode this text here. You'll see on the side the stuff that I tend to watch. But okay. Anyways, let's see. Nice few things here I mentioned. Oops. That might be one too big. Hold on. I'm going crazy. There we go. This is probably easier to read on video. That'll work. A few things here I mentioned. Prep wrap days. I meant PAs go on location for prep and talk to the liaison or owner of the property and go over the rules of the property, etc. So as far as California and our structure here, we tend to have our locations person do that. So PAs don't typically talk to the property owner or the homeowner or the rental company. That's all locations. So that's a whole department, a whole team of people that do that for us, which is awesome. So they're kind of those liaisons that talk to the property. So in their particular case out in Vancouver, that's where Braid works from our last conversation, that is a huge difference for sure, because we don't typically do that as PA. The crew are allowed, they talk about where the crew are allowed to go and not go, the light switches are, all that kind of stuff, and relay it to the ALM or whoever during the shooting day. I feel like I should know what ALM is. I don't off the top of my head. I'm assuming it has to do with some sort of production coordinator. So, I'm not sure. Honestly, I'd probably have to Google that term and try to find it. But essentially, yeah, because we're not part of that scout, PAs, it would be an AD who would go, terrible echo. Thanks, Rav. My buddy Rav's texting me right now. Telling me, check. All right. Maybe something's open. Maybe that did it. Let me know, Rav, with the text. My one viewer online right now. So essentially, what were we talking about? Light switches, yeah. So typically on a scout, you would range, it would range from like the DP, director, producers, AD, kind of your key creative decision-making people would be the ones who go on the scout. I guess sometimes it would be the director because it depends on the size of the show, but typically it's the logistic type people. Oh, still there. Uh-oh. Let me see. Still echo. I wonder if it's just the room. All right. Let me think here. You know what? I'm just going to have to listen to it back at the end of this. But I'm trying to think of where the echo, get two mics open or something. Oh, I bet you it's the GoPro. Hold on. Let me mute that setting. Menu. HDMI audio set off. Okay. Let's try that one more time. Debra. Wait for it. HDMI audio. Okay. How about now, Rav? Sorry, everybody. That's what you get when you add new gear and you don't test it beforehand. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's isolated audio. Okay, cool. That should have done it. Rav being a hero to this video right now. Let me see if I can pop that up and make sure it's good. Messages. Yeah, bummer. Let's see. Still check out about now. Fixed. Hey, we got it. Okay, cool. Dude, thanks, Rav. Awesome, man. Yeah, back to it. So on those scouts, the creative decision-making people are there. PAs are literally the grunt work. Sounds great now. Awesome. Yes. This whole compression setting stuff is awesome when it's just the camera you want and not the GoPro audio. Yeah, it makes a big difference when the sound's right there in your face. I also noticed that with this particular microphone, it is a XY pattern or X pattern, I think it's called. So essentially one mic's facing this way and one mic's facing this way. That's why I have it. Whereas like if you have it dead on, it's less accurate as if you have it off axis like this. So all the nerd stuff that we're trying to get to. Oh, you couldn't even see my gestures. Here, let me do that again. So this is a X pattern, and so instead of being like right in the center where you're missing slightly on both sides of this microphone, if you're kind of off center here, it actually sounds better because it's picking me up better. So, all right, back to the comments here. So yeah, then the PA would just stay there while construction is building the location set. Same with wrap, making sure the crew left the site in good condition when breaking down the set. Not really an AD thing. So yeah, that's still locations for us in California. PAs don't really have that responsibility. So that maybe in that world, ooh, that was cool. In that world on set in Vancouver, that's one of the major differences that you would see. I guess you guys don't have a locations department, or maybe you do, but they have different responsibilities. So ultimately, that location and the wrap days, PAs don't, in California at least, for my experience, they don't go on those kind of things. And so the wrap days that happen, we have rigging crews and rigging electric and rigging grip crews that will go out and do those wraps. But sometimes those are even not supervised by a locations rep. And so then once G&E finish wrapping, the rigging crews wrap, then there's a cleaning crew that comes after that. And so all that is coordinated, at least on the bigger union shows, through the locations department, from what I understand. Ooh, excuse me. And so, that's not within the PA realm. Now, when it's an independent film, I've noticed that we will help out with trash, and that's kind of the big back and forth that happens with craft service, because on the bigger union shows, craft service is the one in charge of trash, and so they go around and take trash cans and collect the trash and get that taken care of. On the non-union shows, the PAs unfortunately are stuck with that job, which kind of really sucks, especially if you're making minimum wage or they're trying to get you on a flat, which basically means they're paying you that rate no matter how many hours you work. And so that's something that I typically don't do anymore, is working flats, because I've had bad experiences before. So let's see. The construction build. So typically there isn't a lot of construction that's done on location somewhere. Usually when they have a construction crew for us, it's on the studio lot. But there are some minor builds and that kind of stuff. Art department does some build out, but that I wouldn't consider construction, because that's essentially its own department. And they're primarily doing flats and the beautiful decor type buildings that you would see, offices and whatnot that they build on a soundstage. So, yes. Let's see. Yes, I agree. PAs never share duties under other departments. So that's true for him, except I guess the department share or the department responsibilities are broken up differently in Vancouver compared to Hollywood. So, excuse me. So it sounds like some of the location responsibilities are tagged into PA production assistant responsibilities in Vancouver, as far as what we're getting from Braid. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of interesting. That's hugely different. So we also don't have van drivers for studio gigs. Also PA van drivers. So let's just stop there. PA van drivers, that's not a thing for us necessarily, which we talked about the last video. But it sounds like there are PA van drivers in Vancouver. So he says they're not under transport shuttle drivers. So the vans PAs drive are like U-Haul-ish, and they carry all the PA stuff. So, okay, bigger union shows, the U-Haul or the PA truck, the production truck, doesn't really exist. Because in a production truck, you might have cast chairs, trash cans, cones, like what she mentions in a little bit. The stuff that would go in that PA truck, or the garbage can, the batteries, the bins, the vests. Well, the vests are still under us, but cones, that kind of stuff, that's actually all within other departments mostly. So on a commercial shoot, however, it is similar. There could be a PA driving a commercial van, a PA van, and independent films as well. I've seen that there. Again, going back to my last video, it's very risky to have that driving situation with a PA, especially if the insurance and liability isn't clearly mandated or laid out. So that's something that I would give a word of caution to, is to make sure that that kind of stuff is sorted ahead of time and it's really clear whose insurance you're on. And you definitely don't want to use personal insurance for any sort of driving that you do for filmmaking. And the main reason is because 9 times out of 10, the producer, if you get in an accident, is not going to want to cover it with their production insurance. I know it sounds douchey, but I've seen it happen, and it's not good because, unfortunately, producers sometimes get a bad rap of not caring about their crew, and they care about their bottom line ultimately. So, that is why PAs make minimum wage, right? Because it's not about us; it's about them getting what they need from us and getting that figured out, so as cheaply as possible. So let's see, garbage bins. Commercial, we would have it. Batteries, big union shows, and commercial PAs would have batteries under the PA department, but we would usually have, excuse me, I keep burping, it's late, I don't know why. So we usually would have an on-set kit. We call it Bob a lot of the time. And so Bob is kind of like a toolbox with different layers in it. And so batteries would be in that toolbox. And so we would carry that around the on-set kit with call sheets, with sides, with distro paperwork that needs to go to different departments, and copies of scripts and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of where the batteries go for us. So I guess that would live either in that production truck or with PAs. So, vests definitely are important. Vests are part of safety, and so that falls under assistant directing, aka as PAs. So PAs, when we're on location, when we're on the street, it's a requirement by the major studios that we have the crew member, anybody who's in the street, to be wearing a vest. And so that's always the big headache in the back and forth with a lot of the crew members, because they don't want to wear those vests, right? So they kind of fight us on that a lot of the time. And it's not a fun job to have, but you got to be firm and offer vests and try hard to get even, the director and camera people to wear them. But a lot of the times they don't, and so they will refuse those. But as long as we've offered it, and you can state, if somebody tries to sue, that you offered them a vest several times, and that's part of your job. And so I've been there, and I've offered it to somebody 3 times, and then an AD comes behind me and yells at me for not offering a vest. And I said, I actually did 3 times. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. And sometimes it makes a difference, but sometimes you get a AD who's a little bit more thick-headed. Yeah, I said it. Too bad. Some ADs are a little bit of a bullhead, bull in a china shop, which is not good. So when I AD, I tend to not. I try really hard to not be that kind of AD. I try to be the one who gets everybody on their team and keeps everybody working together. So, yes, flashlights, cones. So, flashlights are everybody's personal responsibility, I guess you can say. Typically on the bigger shows, we'll use flashlights to help with first team or cast to get them to and from places. Cones are kind of a sticky topic. For independents and commercials, there will be cones in a production truck, right? That's under the AD PA world. But on the bigger shows, PAs aren't really supposed to touch cones. They're not supposed to stop traffic. They're not, unless we have the right permit, they actually aren't supposed to stop pedestrians from crossing. We can caution and ask people to turn away, but a lot of the times in LA, in different cities or different streets, especially downtown, there are certain regulations and certain rules that prevent us from stopping foot traffic. And so that's a whole kind of another topic, another debate, because ADs want us to stop traffic, but legally there's certain restrictions of what we can and can't do, essentially. So we always got to be following the law. So PA van drivers are very common because if we are on location, there are so many different PA lockups that you need a van driver to cone a road or to guard some random cable going who knows where, or guard some truck parked miles away that was used for an establishing shot. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, PA lockups, like if a PA is assigned a lockup by a production vehicle, that's pretty common, right? If you have a grip truck or electric truck, typically on bigger shows, they'll hire security guards, which is pretty cool. And even though we have PA lockups to help with the actual shooting of the show, typically security guards, they'll have them overnight, especially for parking, 2-3 hours before crew call. Transpo gets there. They have overnight shifts. They're on around the clock getting stuff moved. So Transpo has a really, really tough job, and they work the longest hours out of anybody. And I thought we had long days, 14, 18-hour days. Sometimes they're pushing 20, 22, 24-hour days. But thankfully, they tend to have 2 shifts come in and that kind of stuff too. So yeah, as far as those kind of far-off lockups, or if they're locking up a picture vehicle that was used in a shot earlier, or kind of being security for that, typically we have security guards for that, but it just really depends on the situation. Sometimes they will use a PA for that kind of thing, and generally speaking, the PA who's at the furthest lockup from set is the PA with the least amount of experience, or the least familiarity with the ADs. So they don't know that PA as well, so they don't know their skill set. So they would rather have them in a faraway place rather than close to set working with the team there. So, yes. I think weather-wise, it is way better in LA. Absolutely. Weather is incredible out here. It is pretty crazy. Oh, man. So the next thing we're going to talk about is something super interesting that I actually haven't heard of. So have you done plywood on location? No, I haven't. I am super intrigued here to hear what plywood on location is. It sounds disastrous. Oh, man. If not, you are super lucky. I guess I am. Vancouver, it rains 8 months out of a year and it snows in the winter. So you need to literally carry wet, heavy sheets of plywood and make a road for the camera dolly thing. Wow, that is crazy. It's the worst when the plywood is covered in mud. That's probably the worst part of my job. Wow. Okay, so let's figure this out here. Oops, sorry. There we are. Okay. Yes, that sounds horrible. We don't have to deal with plywood. Actually, for the dolly, a lot of the times there are 12 by 1 pieces of not plywood. It's just runner wood. So it could be 6 feet, 8 feet, 12 feet, whatever they need. But it's a foot long and it's an inch thick. And so those runners will be used just to make surfaces smooth. And so they might use apple boxes or wedges and that kind of stuff to balance it. But all of those kind of things, including that kind of plywood or wood that they use underneath the dolly, that falls under the dolly grip. And so the dolly grip might have a guy or 2 or 3 guys, depending on how big and complicated that show is. And so the dolly grip is the one who ultimately takes care of that. And so that goes on the grip truck, or sometimes there's a dolly grip truck, or there might be a crane truck, a 5-ton or an 18-wheeler, depending on how big the show is, 52-foot, 50-foot trucks or whatever. So thankfully, wow, that's a huge difference between Vancouver and Hollywood, is you guys have to deal with the plywood and the mud and the wetness and the rain. Man, that sounds horrible. Thankfully, I've never had to touch that kind of stuff as a PA. I have gripped a little bit, and I have helped on independent films, laying down some wood and that kind of stuff, but that's kind of very, very, very light compared to what you're describing. So, yeah, that's crazy. The best part of the job was wrap parties. Yeah, I don't know if that's a job per se. That's just kind of a perk. You get to hang out with people and, smooze with people and have a drink and that kind of stuff. There's one kind of caveat with me, personally, that kind of separates me, I guess you can say, from the rest of Hollywood. Sorry, I got like an eyelash or something in my eye. But I don't drink. My mom was an alcoholic, and because of that, I actually just stay away from alcohol. And so I like going to the wrap parties. It's fun, but I don't typically like go out to the bar and hang out with people. I will for fun because I like people and I'm a people person. But typically I stick to, 1 or 2 wrap parties a year kind of deal. I'm very low key on that, and I'm more focused on work and other stuff too. And I'm also one of those people who has like 16 things going on at once. So, there's that too. So. FYI, Vancouver has a ton of sound stages. Cool. Yeah, I would kind of be curious to see what the difference is between Vancouver stages and LA stages, because just sheer volume, like to kind of measure and see if there's a huge difference. But yeah, it's funny like how often I hear from people around the world that, yeah, we have a ton of stuff and we have all these stages, and like people don't realize the scope of Hollywood. Like, you know what? Let's do this right now. I'm gonna try to pull up some maps. Let's see if I can even find them. But let's see if we can find some studio maps. So, Fox studio map. Yeah. Let's see. Pinterest. Google. This is so weird. Why is it bouncing me around? Just show me the map. Show me the money. Let's not use that link then. Let's do settings, advanced. Nope. There used to be a tool here for images more. Nope. They moved it, those jerks. Search helps. Whatever. Okay. There, that's a lot photo. Fox lot director. Yes, that'll work. Okay. Let's see if we can scale this down. Something more manageable. So this is 20th Century Fox. This is, you can see the address here. So this is essentially a college campus, right? So this is how huge the lot is. I wish it turned the other way, whatever. We'll keep it nice and large. So, yeah, each one of these sound stages is pretty gigantic. And so I'm used to this main entrance here. I interned in 103, I believe. Yeah. So actually you would go in and down, and then there's like underground parking below this building. So when I was a Fox intern, I was in 103, but we shot on, gosh, like this First Street and New York Street. New York Street had some outdoor scenery and stuff, so you can shoot along there. The executive buildings are gorgeous. They're huge complexes here. And then I think there is like a Simpsons photo here, Simpsons photo op. But like, yeah, and you would usually park like if you in the back a lot of the times too for crew members, whereas like the business people who get to the business center on the front would park towards the front. So it would literally, from this back wall to this side of the lot, it would probably take you a good 15-20 minutes to walk it, like at least. And so this is Fox, right? And so there's like what, 7 or 8 other studios. Gosh, like Sony Studios. Oops, spelled that wrong. So yeah, you could see like, here's another map. There it is. Cool. Lots of sound studios. So yeah, same thing. Overland structures where you typically park. This parking area here is where base camp typically is. And then you would walk through like Silicon Valley, shot on 15 and 25 when I worked on that show. As you go through here, 6 and 3, I think. Does that sound right? Yeah, I think so. Those shot with the Goldbergs. And then I think I got my stages right. Yeah, down this alley here. I actually ran into by 24 Rihanna, if I remember correctly. And then, yeah, if you go through here, there's like an ice cream place up here. I took Steve Carell around the lot on a golf cart going to stages on this side of this set back into this area here. Because there was some sort of sound. Oh, yeah, the scoring stage. That's where we shot a certain show that's not released yet. So, yeah, these places are huge, and so you can see the scale box here. But let me see. Actually, I'll do one better here, and I'll get us into trouble here and pull up to see if I have any set photos of the actual lots to kind of give you guys some scale. Let's see. These are my thousands of pictures that I have here of different places and things I've seen over the years. So let's see. Just glancing through some set photos that I have. You know, the ones I'm not supposed to take. But hey, when you wait, 3 or 5 years post-production, you are able to post some stuff nonchalantly, hopefully. So here's a fun shot of this was for Bones, the TV show. There's in the background. This is on the Fox lot, so you can see the Simpsons thing. And so this is one of the buildings right next to. Let me pull up the lot map here. Fox, not New York. Oh man, I'm gonna get my stuff mixed up, aren't I? Pico, main entrance. I think it was by 6. Anyways, that's not going to give you perspective. That's just a really cool shot. So this is actually kind of cool too. So for the G&E crew, they have all these different carts that they need to transport from one stage to another stage. And so that's kind of a helpful way of doing that gear transport. So let's find, there we go. Let's see if this does us any justice. Okay, so this is a wider shot of the same thing. And so That's not going to help us. How about this one? Yes, great. So this is New York Street in the background here. So this is the street with the executive offices here that I was talking about just a second ago. I think you're seeing all this, right? Let me make sure. Yep, cool. So if we talk about Fox and the New York streets here, so I was standing somewhere in this zone and the executive buildings are there, right? So you can see the scale of the map and the executive buildings, building 88. And if we go back to Lightroom to this photo, this is building 88 here. And this is New York Street. And so that van leads to the street up there. And back in this area, that's where the offices would be. So yeah, this is just one strip of the Fox lot, right? This strip here with New York Street. And as I zoom out, let me see here. There we go. You can see the executive building and all that kind of stuff is all right here. So there's a lot of other production happening on the lot. And so the scale of Hollywood and those studios, that's what keeps production out here for TV shows where you have repeatable sets and that kind of stuff. So that's another cool thing. Like always love hearing about other cities and how they're shooting and what they're up to. So yeah, that kind of gives you a quick overview about the lots. So kind of a cool insight, I think. So all right, one more. Let's see if there's any more information here. FYI, Vancouver has a ton of sound stages. We also have the largest FX stage in North America. Super cool. Lots of posts happening with FX, right? Or is that VFX? Yeah, VFX. So FX is practical effects, right? I think that's what you mean. Or do you mean post? I don't know. I also don't PA anymore. Was PA for 4 years. Yeah, typically a good PA moves on pretty quick. For me, I still PA. I don't mind it. I kind of enjoy it a lot of the times. But I got married. I started, dating my wife before we got married, obviously. And my priorities are kind of strict. I put God first in my life, and then I put family, and then I put my career. And so that has tended to slow down. Over the last couple of years when I first got in the industry, I tended to work a lot more. And then as time progressed, I started to shift. And now kind of corporate streams is my focus, doing more live event production. And so, yeah, I'm kind of going through this whole coming to Jesus moment, so to speak, when I'm reevaluating life and figuring that out. So, yeah, I'm with you. I would love to not be PAing anymore. But it's all good. I don't mind it right now. So, yeah, he doesn't Skype. That's cool. Maybe we can find a Google Hangout. But nice, man. A few things here. When I mentioned prep wrap days, I meant PAs here would go on location for prep and talk to. Okay, so I don't know if this is the same comment. Oops, what did I click? Uh-oh. It might be the same comment. I'm going to quickly read through it. All the stuff that is relatable. Let's see. Yeah, it looks pretty similar. Yeah, it's the same comment. That's okay. I don't mind that he commented the same comment twice. It looks like there's more comments from me that way. So I am probably scrolling like crazy. You guys are probably hating this right now. Sorry. Anyways, yeah, so that's the major differences between Vancouver production and Hollywood production. Rav Holly, who was texting me about the audio, thanks. Special shout out to you again for your help with that. Check out his channel. He's Nomad News now. I'll try to link in a comment below of his information and stuff if you want to check him out. He's actually got a way bigger channel than me, so maybe you guys came from his channel and saw me here. But anyways, yeah, hopefully this has been insightful for you to learn about this kind of stuff. And thanks for staying on for 39 minutes of me rambling about stuff. I'm going to continue to try to keep posting this, and I'll listen back to hear. Hopefully it sounds good and looks better than it did the last couple days. But yeah, tomorrow I'm going to be talking about what advice I would be giving myself if I was a high school student. And so there are certain things that I did really well at as a high school student and certain things I could have improved on. And so I have kind of 3 bullet points that I want to talk about, and look forward to talking to you guys then. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys later.